A video was leaked today depicting what appears to be a U.S. military helicopter firing on unarmed reporters.
12 million people have seen that video. You still want to tell me you think it's just a little website?
They have an agenda?
Truth, justice, the American way.
All right, who fell asleep first?
Me.
Co-host walked in asleep.
Yeah, sleepwalked into that motherfucker.
He came in with his lids half closed, like, hey, is this Carrie? Yeah, he should be. I was like, no, man, that's across the hall. It started 30 minutes ago.
I hope it's as good as Carrie Part 2.
It'd be funny if he sat through half the movie and leaned over to you, Leon, and said, when's Carrie going to show up?
I didn't know that Benedict Cumberbatch was playing Carrie.
Well, he does have that long white hair. So
yeah. While dodging bullets in Carrie, it was Corey Coleman. But, no, you know what, man? I actually got there and I got mixed up myself, so I'm going to go see Carrie. I'm glad I did.
No shit.
Yeah. We get to see the tale of Julian Assange.
Yeah.
Now, this is a movie. Do it again.
Julian Assange.
Is that how he says his name in the movie?
I hope.
That's probably the most entertaining thing about it. When you said
He's got some kind of weird vocal affect through this whole thing.
Played by Benjamin Cumberbatch. Right?
Benedict.
Benedict.
Cumberbatch.
Yes.
Benedict Bandicoot, Bandersnatch.
Benedict
Barracuda.
Bandicoot.
Yeah. And he is Julian Assange. And I was actually looking forward to this. Seemed like it was, it's funny because the script leaked on WikiLeaks. So.
Oh, I'm sure. It's kind of the whole point of the movie.
You know what? I wasn't sure how to feel about it, or at least going into it, because I was like, yeah, I'm curious about the WikiLeaks and all that. I know they got that documentary coming out. I'd like to see, but then I was like, yeah, but these trailers reminded me of that boring ass Eric Bana movie that came out a couple months ago. So
Oh, the one that you didn't see it, did you?
I didn't see it.
Oh wait, we saw it. Yeah, you and I saw it, and it was boring as fuck. Yeah,
I got my nap in already.
Shit. Well, I mean,
it's because you got a little extra sleep.
Yeah. Well, this movie, I had no clue about what it was. Honestly, what it was about. No, and when they revealed it was about the guy who started WikiLeaks, I mean, I was like, well, if I got anything from this movie, it's one thing that I've always theorized that. Fucking nerdy ass computer motherfuckers are assholes. That's about it.
Yeah, I'm following up Jobs with this.
Co-host went in this thinking it was a sequel to The Fifth Element.
It is funny how any movie with the exception of The Matrix, any movie about hackers paints them as assholes.
Yeah,
just computer guys.
Yeah.
And you know what? I want to say they are, because any movie made about them is dull as shit. If you're gonna make a movie about guys on the computer, they need to be doing kung fu. Otherwise,
otherwise, who gives a fuck?
If you're not getting sucked into the computer to fight dragons or some shit, then who gives a fuck?
And you know what? That's why I want to see this. It's like you got a rebellious cyber guy. He's hacking stuff. He's fighting, and he's doing this in the name of the people. There's political intrigue. I'm thinking, how can you go wrong with this?
Yeah, if you break it down those elements, it sounds like it could be good. And every so often, something like that will come in and make you go like, all right, I'm with it. No, I'm not. I tried.
Well, to be fair, I was a little interested because, I mean, it is about this guy who, he's an outsider trying to just, get the truth out there because he believes the media isn't doing his job as it should. And, and he convinces this guy, to pretty much, join forces with him to have this whole network of people, these whistleblowers, all congregate in one place to get the truth out there to the masses. And I mean, that part of the story itself is pretty damn interesting,
And it's told from the point of view. It's based on the book that's written by the guy, was his Daniel, Schmitz was his code name. His real name is Daniel something. German guy. It's written from his point of view, who was his second in command, the guy who worked with him doing all this stuff, and they had a falling out. He wrote the book, and it's played by Nicky Lauda.
The guy from Rush.
Oh, the guy from Rush.
Yeah. Rat face.
Yeah, Nicky Lauda.
What was that guy's name? Daniel?
Daniel Bruhl's the actor.
Yeah.
And the actual guys, Daniel, well, he goes by Schmitz, but he gets revealed.
It's Daniel Domshitberg.
Jesus. That guy had a hard time.
Daniel Dumb Shit Berg. Unless I'm not I'm not up to speed on my German.
It's too heavy.
You're being punked by your own phone right now.
It's pronounced Domschnight.
That's what Funny Leak says.
You know what? Honestly, it's a story. The story itself is interesting, but being told in this kind of biopic, espionage way, it's not. It's like the more, like it's directed by Bill Condon, and the more he tries to make it interesting, like having these metaphorical shots of like an office that's open out in the sand where all the WikiLeaks employees or volunteers are working. It's just, they do a lot of metaphors with that. There's a lot of text on screen, quick shots going all around, but it's like it's a bunch of tricks where like it might keep you dazzled for 10 seconds, but after a while you're like, yeah, but you're still making me watch people having a Twitter fight.
But you know what? I didn't mind that so much because at least I was like, wow, at least it has me engaged, as opposed to that fucking Ben Affleck, Justin Timberlake movie where, my big problem with that was like, yeah, you're just looking at guys react to their fucking monitors. And I'm like, who cares? But at least this kind of thrusts you in, and it does it actually in a Matrix kind of a style, and I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. But, at the same time I was thinking, well, how is this really going to benefit the story all that much, just besides trying to save me from being bored, And
like I said, like at first you're like, oh, okay, maybe this could work. But I don't know, at least for me, like there came a point where I was like, the trick is done. It's not working. Give me some more actual information instead of trying to dress this up.
Yeah, because the thing is, the movie does work as far as giving just the general audience a good sense of what WikiLeaks had done. Especially once they get into the whole the whole government thing about them putting important information out with like people's names and not really having anyone to like just go, no, you can't do that. They weren't really. There's no way that this one guy could be accountable for it, for him putting out information that could put people who were out on the field in harm's way. I thought that was something they should have gone a little bit further with, instead of just giving you like a small recap of like one guy you don't know being put in harm's way because of this WikiLeaks information.
14 pages in The Guardian, 12 in the New York Times. This is more coverage than all the leaks we have had combined. We're winning an information war, which goes beyond any short-term alliance we have with the mainstream media. Do you want to throw it all away because you fear that some U.S. government informer might come to harm?
These are human beings, Julian.
And that's such a small, like, thrown-in device that they use. I was like, you should have done more of that.
Well, so much of that, like even like the people what they focus on in Washington, who were played by Stanley Tucci and Laura Linney and Anthony Mackie. These people who are actually in the government who are like looking at this and like their little personal stories that go on. But it's like, well, this just seems like a drop in this ocean. Why are we focusing on them? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. That one guy, they're like, oh, we got to get this guy out.
Yeah.
If we can save him, it's like, I don't give a shit about that guy.
Because you don't know what he's doing. You don't know what purpose he's serving. You don't know how he's working with the government. All you know is if this information gets out there on the net, he's a dead man.
Yeah, it's like,
so how much is this focusing on the military guy who's the one?
Okay. Bradley Manning.
Yeah, Bradley Manning.
That was one of my problems with it. It's like this movie is so much about, even WikiLeaks, so much about disclosure and all this. But, they bring up the fact that, like, Julian Assange never really disclosed his own origin. But yeah, they say, oh, Private Manning, he leaked this. But it never goes into the fact that, like, why he did it. It's just like, oh, he's 22 and he's an idiot, he did it. It's like, the actual story is he wanted to have a sex change. He was looking for a way to get out of the Army. Yeah. And that's a really interesting, corner of this story that never gets touched.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Well,
yeah,
actually,
no shit.
If you watch the movie We
Steal Secrets,
the story of WikiLeaks is the documentary you can already get on DVD. That's excellent. And it goes...
I didn't know it was out already.
Yeah, it goes into depth about that guy, as you should, because you really can't tell Julian Assange's story without telling his story, too.
And that's too bad, because they really do point out, like, they really try to let you know there's something mysterious about this guy. And until you get to the end, obviously, where you get to know a little bit more, yeah, I'm like, you just telling me that information right now? Wow, that would have blown me the fuck away in the theater, just knowing that, And this one, they're just like, yeah, he was kind of an asshole kid, and that's about it.
And that's the thing. Like, most of when it does get interesting, man, it's an hour and a half of it has already gone by because the movie's over 2 hours long. But yeah, like that last bit, sure, there's some interesting things that have come up now. The real implications of it, and what's happening with the New York Times and the Guardian from the UK, these newspapers who want to get in on this and publish this stuff, but not name names. And Julian Assange not giving a shit. Like, no, we have to put everything out there. We don't edit here at WikiLeaks.
And that was something else where I was like, they should have explored that more, because I felt that was just a small piece of the movie where they get into the idea of accountability for your actions with this information that is just, it's just being thrown out on the internet, and also bringing up the whole moral conundrum of what this all means to everyone involved, but yeah, this movie seemed like it was a lot of missed opportunities, because it felt like it was at times it was really trying hard to be like a Social Network type of film, where they probably should have taken more notes about that and getting a little bit more into the personal lives of why these guys are doing what they are doing, seeing more of the conflict between the two go at it, instead of like jumping into this whole thriller of a film, because that really did feel like you were sideswiped by it,
It's like it's two different movies. You're right. Like that whole first part, the first hour and a half, it's like somebody trying to copy The Social Network, except it's with two characters who don't either have enough personality for you to give a shit about.
And it's too bad, because the two guys that are in it,
actors.
Yeah, I mean, they're great actors. You're just like, man, I wish they had something better to work with and better structure, because as far as Benedict Cumberbatch is concerned, you're like, wow, this guy, he is still engaging regardless of, what they don't take advantage of as far as from the real story. But man, I every time that guy was on screen, I mean, I was paying attention.
You're like, take care of it, Sherlock.
Yeah, exactly.
So what'd y'all give it then?
I don't know, man. Honestly, for me, it just comes out to be a high rental. I figure you would get so much more from watching that documentary than you can from this movie. I mean, especially if you've seen the documentary, I would think you'd watch this movie and you probably wouldn't even finish it. You're like, all right, that's about enough.
You can lay on your back and fluff your pillows.
Oh man, well, it was borderline on a matinee for me. But the more I thought about it, the more, especially just hearing what you guys just told me, I was like, wow, what a missed opportunity. So yeah, it's a rental, but I keep going, man. Is Tom ever going to get a movie made about him? The MySpace dude. He's over there by himself in front of. Are my friends going to ever come back?
Like he hidden shame.
He's somewhere looking sad, and a live journal guy puts his arm around, like, I know how you feel.
He's still out there looking over his shoulder.
Like, hey man, you want to go hang out with Friendster? You're like, fuck that guy.
I know. Meanwhile, kids are like, Tom who?
Yeah, I know.
That's why we need to move him.
The Guardian, New York Times, all standing alongside you.
This is going to change everything.
He's not a journalist. He's a threat to national security.
This is all about survival.
Lives are at stake.
What about the lives of the civilians in these conflicts?
If we had someone like you, the Berlin Wall would have come down years before.
We're on the verge of a major international crisis.
If you want to do this, you have to do it now.
You all have 5 seconds. What's going on? 5 seconds on. It's just you and your ego and the lies you tell to get whatever you want.
This is information the world needs to know.
We need to crush these guys.
It's life. Times is life.
If you want the truth, you should seek it out for yourself. That's what they're afraid of. You.